Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm CT.
Welcome to episode 184 of Adventures and Mousecapades. This week, we have someone on the show who we've grown to know because of his Disney Cruise Line content. He offers his prognostications on what is coming to our favorite cruise line as a contributor to the DCL Duo podcast and their Substack newsletter. But that is not why we've got him on today. Today, we are talking about the brand new Disney Vacation Club Island Tower at the Polynesian Resort in Disney World. That is a mouthful. CT and his extended family just had a trip to Disney World, and since we haven't had a chance to stay at the place that we bought points at last fall, we thought we'd get the skinny on DVC's newest location. Welcome, CT.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Love the podcast, and it's great to meet new Disney friends.
Always, yes.
Well, and don't let the fact that we do own points there skew your opinions. If we need to do a resale or something like that, just let us know.
Okay, we'll talk about your options when it's over.
So, what's your Disney background? Was the World of Mouse of a kind of a big deal for you and your family growing up?
So there was even before, so we would take some trips down that way when I was really young, and we're talking like, before turning 5. I have some vivid memories, but obviously pictures from the old family album of me with my mother and father and brothers there at an early age. Mm-hmm. And then we actually lived down in Melbourne, Florida for a while, where we were annual pass holders. This was back in the day where it was like $40 for the year.
Right.
It's a
little north of that now.
Yeah. Surely that's all inflation, and none of it has to do with Mickey figuring out how to get more
Oh,
out of
definitely.
its fans.
Yeah.
Of course.
Fully inflation, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're talking in the 1850s, right?
Yeah. And I even remember my dad looking at DVC as a proposition back when it started.
Oh.
And thinking, man, that's a really good idea, but then deciding it was too much. And man, if I could have talked him into it then based on what I've paid for my points, and I paid for my points last in 13. So you could imagine how I feel about the cost of points now.
Our first contract was in 2013. So we've
You've seen
understand
the
pain.
Yep.
Yes.
Our first was in 11. But so I grew up a lot going there, and to be quite honest, Disney for a lot of people is a lot of different things. For me, it actually is that moment I get on Main Street where I'm taken back to the day I'm so small, I'm holding my dad's thumb as we're walking down Main Street, and I'm excited to meet Pluto. And for me, it's about the family tradition and the family memories. So my wife and I, kind of fast forward, my wife and I started going together in 2011, which was the second year we were married. That was our first trip together. We went for Christmas and stayed at the Contemporary.
Nice.
Had such a good time and listened to the value proposition of DVC that we bought for Bay Lake Tower
Okay.
at the time, thinking we'd have kids everywhere and running around, and we'd be able to take them from time to time. And unfortunately, or fortunately, either way you look at it, God had a different plan for us. We don't have any kids, but we've been able to, bless our best friends and our godchildren with taking them along for, 4 or 5 trips. We've taken my sister now and her kids for a couple of trips. So taken my parents, we've stayed with them at Alani and at the bungalows for a couple of, so we've been able to use those points in a way to bring other people along to share some great memories with, and kind of carry on that tradition.
Nice.
I love that.
Well, these days, how often do you visit Mickey?
So Mickey's an interesting question. Probably once a year to 18 months.
Okay.
The parks themselves less often, but we've been on. We were on a cruise a year for a while there, and then COVID happened, and We've picked up a couple since then, but our cruise aspirations have changed as we've gotten older, and we're looking at time and how much I can get this old body to move the way that I want it to. We've been taking, we'll say, bigger adventure leaps now than we were early on. So our last 2 cruises have been, we did one to Galveston, but the 2 before that were European cruises. So
nice.
those end up getting spaced out a little more.
Yeah.
I have a travel agent that I'm incredibly grateful for and has become a good friend. Wes, the DCL dude, takes care of us.
Nice.
From time to time when we're traveling on the cruises or otherwise, and he has us queued up for our first adventure.
Oh, cool.
Oh, fun.
So next summer I'll take my wife for 6 or 7 days to Switzerland, and that'll be on us, and I'll put that plan together, and I think we're going to stay in Lucerne and hop to a couple different sites there and enjoy the beautiful town of Lucerne, and then hop on a cruise. The Amo Waterways, I think, is the one that's contracted by the Adventures
Disney.
by Disney. Yep.
Yep.
And we'll do the Rhine River down to Amsterdam, and then maybe a few stops there on that end of Europe before we head back. So
That sounds lovely.
yeah, it's going to be amazing. And the timing will work out. We'll be on the cruise for my wife's birthday, and the trip will end around our anniversary. So we'll celebrate the 2 big things I have to
There you
celebrate
go.
every year
I love
while
it.
we're on that adventure. So
Fantastic. All right. So you recently got back from a big trip to Florida with you and your extended family there. You stayed in some amazing spots, and we want to talk all about that. But before we go there, who were you traveling with, and was there any special occasions?
yeah. So again, talking about that family tradition, my father passed away last November,
Sorry.
and thank you. He was my hero. I was very lucky. A lot of people can't say that about their parents. I'm very blessed to be able to say that about mine. And he set a good example of both how to show his wife that he loved her and show his family love. And I wanted to carry on that tradition. We had been planning this trip for a while before that, but once he passed away, we decided that taking him back down to a spot in Florida that he loved with us kids was probably the right way to celebrate who he was and who he was to the family. So we had once that plan kind of went into place, it was time to, my nieces, we've been talking for a while. We took them when they were 2 and 3, which was really a trip for mom and us because they're not going to remember any of that at that age, right?
Course.
Like it's just about us remembering the cute moments and the things that they did. And they remember it through pictures and I put all the photos together and video footage that I take on a trip into these iMovies that are about 15 minutes long.
Oh,
that,
cool.
They can watch from time to time and have all the music and whatever. And but we wanted to go down and just take them on the trip my dad would have taken them on.
Yeah.
So we took my nieces. Of course, my beautiful wife who's always there by my side, taking care of me on whatever crazy adventure I come up with for us next. And we went down there, spent some great time at the parks, and then we headed out to Vero Beach afterwards because that's close to Melbourne there where we lived. So we were able to see some old stomping grounds, so to speak, for our family around that time and share it with a new generation of our family, which was super great time.
That's so special.
Yeah. So I guess that I didn't answer the question, but I did in context. So it was my mother, my sister, my wife, and my 2 nieces, Madison and Bryn. And Madison and Bryn are, they are as fun can get on a trip like this. They really are. So, and then we had some other family link up with us when we were down there, and that was super special as well. So
Awesome.
So first up, you stayed in the brand new Disney Vacation Club Island Tower.
Yep. So I booked the Polynesian Island Tower the day that bookings opened, which was one day after my 7-month booking window for this trip. Just to kind of put
lucky
it
dog.
Yes.
all into context, I hopped on. That meant that only Theme Park View was left in the inventory at that point. because of the way things worked.
Wow.
For at least a 2-bedroom suite. But that was what I was shooting for anyway, so
Right.
it wasn't upsetting. I wanted the preferred view for my nieces. We did a preferred theme park view for Bay Lake Tower the last time we took them,
Yeah.
which was fantastic as well.
Yep.
Yeah, both great rooms, great. I mean, that's a really great experience. So kind of to get into our trip a little bit, we arrived on Sunday at about 5:00. By the time we got through, my mom through the airport because she needs a little extra help. She's to the point where it's more comfortable for her to get some assistance through the airport.
Oh yeah.
So we by the time we got to the rental car, I went to the rental car myself, then pulled up, picked them all up, and headed to the resort. We decided to forego trying to eat on property that night. Ideally, we would have done a character meal outside of a park that night, but that didn't work out that way to guarantee we could make a time. So it was Raising Cane's because it's all brown food that kids love, and it was safe. So Raising Cane's, and we were off to the park to make our way there so we could get there in time to watch fireworks that first
special.
night from the room, which is a really great way to start a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, character meals and watching fireworks are always a good, those are the two best ways I can think. I know some folks like to spend the first day in Disney Springs. I like the value proposition of Disney allowing folks to go to the water parks that first day, depending on where they're staying. That's really great, but taking the girls to an outlet mall doesn't sound like a good way to start a trip.
That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see fireworks. Let's start the magic. We also spent some time. I started them on pin trading this trip.
Oh, cool.
And I did that. If folks are wondering, tip I don't hear, and maybe is more obvious for those that take it for granted that we go all the time, right? But if you're starting someone, say you're planning a trip for your family and you think that's a good outlet or way to spend time on a trip, which I do recommend, go onto eBay and buy a lot of pins.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy someone's doubles from their chaser packs.
Yep.
For I think I spent $25 for 100 pins.
Oh my
Holy
goodness.
cow.
That's like
And
a pin in the park.
yeah,
If it's a nicer one. Yeah.
yeah. And I spent some of that on, I've got, I've got the bag right here. It's great audio to hear me digging in the bag, I'm sure.
Super compelling.
We went on Xandar, the Otherworld Showcase, because we went on Cosmic Rewind together. So some of the big rides we went on, I picked up the pin afterwards.
Yeah.
One for me and then one for them so we've got this collection of pins for our triumphs
Yes.
while we were at the
And the
park, right?
memories,
Because they're 8 and 10 now, and it's a
Okay.
great time for them to go, and they're just old enough to kind of hit everything that they want to do. Go on to eBay, buy just look up 50 or 100 pins, and we spent the night. There were some of them they liked, so they were sifting through what's a definite trade, what's a maybe trade, and what's a keeper out of that first lot of pins, and setting up their lanyards and getting them ready to go for the next day. We walked down to the boutique, which is the gift shop in the first level of the Great Ceremonial House. Or Grand Ceremonial, I can't remember, Great, we'll go
One
with.
of
And picked up some of those Honolulu shortbread cookies that they sell there from the Honolulu Cookie Company. If you've
those are
never had
good.
those before, they sell them at Alani too. That's when we got hooked on them back in 12 when we went. And then brought those back to the room. We're snacking on cookies, going through pins, waiting for fireworks to go. It was perfect. It was a great way to start the trip. What are the detail to cover on checking in?
Yeah.
They did put the lays on them like they do in the
nice.
Great Ceremonial House. So they had a couple of cast members in the lobby with tablets who were our quasi front desk concierge type staff there because they really don't have a home. They're kind of portable installed there in the lobby.
Right.
Have you stayed at the Polynesian before?
I have. I've
the main
stayed
part,
at the bungalows.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You said that. Yeah.
Back in, that was back in 18.
Okay.
No, Nope, that would have been back in 16. 16, we stayed in the bungalows, and went to the Spirit of Aloha show, which is, rest in peace, that's what the island tower is over the top of now.
Yes.
Foreshadowing. We'll get there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of the island tower on arrival?
On arrival, so the next kind of, okay, so here's where the island tower feels incomplete right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, I do want to start with saying, because I don't want to forget, the cast members at the island tower are amazing. But they are working with a rough, they've been dealt a rough hand that may be invisible to some people that stay there. But this was what I can only talk about what my experience was,
Sure.
what my family's experience was. And the first part of that experience is the island tower entrance isn't well labeled. And there's nothing to tell you when you're pulling into the Polynesian Village parking lot that you have to continue on for the island tower right now, at least not that was readily visible and easy to see between
Right.
all the construction cones that exist on World Drive right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
they're
then
doing all that
up
work.
around that way. So that's the first thing I will tell people is kind of, it is its own entrance.
Got it.
That's not marked well. But once you find the right place to go, like I said, there's great cast members there ready to help you.
Yeah.
I'm ready to, do the whole experience with the lay. That part of it feels really good. It just is. If you're the driver, you're hanging out there in the wind, hoping for the best as you,
Yeah.
maybe go a little later at night and follow the stars. I don't know what the right answer is there.
Get there eventually, right?
Yes. The hotel, it's calling.
Yes.
Follow. There's a Moana reference in there somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, so there's some parking and some of the logistic stuff. Like, other than some of that, like, what was your, like, generally your first impression?
Walking
of,
in.
The Imagineers have done a wonderful job.
Yeah.
So thank you, because that leads me into the next piece after the cast members being great. The hotel is beautiful.
Excellent.
The Imagineers, the lobby, even my sister, as we're walking, and I'm used to it because I've got candles in the house that smell like the waterway of, pirates, right? So I'm used to all of the ways that Disney takes advantage of the senses that are available
Yep.
to make you comfortable or make you uncomfortable or make you remember something or bring you back to a moment, right? Disney's very good at that. I would say
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Taking advantage of the senses that they think are available to them in order to create more immersion. They do a good job of that as you're walking into the Polynesian Island Tower. There's some great smells, some great contrast of colors that you pick up with your eyes right away that draw your attention
Yeah.
to some unique places. It really is a beautiful lobby and building.
Yeah.
And kind of continuing on from there, they have these courtyard cutouts in the building
Yeah.
that we saw filled with people every evening during the fireworks when we were around the hotel around that time that are taking advantage of that space because they don't have the preferred view or are looking for a comfortable place to watch the fireworks. So there are
Right.
beautiful designs on the tower for sure. And actually our theme park view was the end of the tower, and we kind of looked out over the Grand Floridian to see the Magic Kingdom,
Okay.
Cinderella's castle in the distance. So just to give you an idea of
Yep.
even that end of the building is considered a preferred view. And I have no complaint about that being a preferred view. I think that that's a fair assessment by whoever's managing the inventory and how they label the inventory of those rooms. That is definitely a good view of so it's not just the one side, but because of the angle it's at, they're also leveraging some of what's on the end there.
Awesome. So in general, like, folks were rather critical as this was being built, saying Disney was just, building another big box and that there was no, there wasn't a lot of imagination or the theming with, there was just a lot of doom and gloom about this because, like any good fan community, Disney fans love to just go really negative on anything that's new.
Change bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Boo.
You moved my cheese.
Yes. Oh, that's such a great reference. Yes.
Do you think they really did it justice and in terms of the design and the decor?
I think they put a very good building there. I think they made a couple of design choices I wish they had done differently with the building itself.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like what?
So the
what would
first
you-
one is because of the building's more publicly accessible on the monorail ride in those viewing positions, Disney has locked down the building in a way that makes it incredibly inconvenient for the people staying there.
Oh, okay.
So the price of security over convenience sometimes isn't, and I'm in the business of considering that, right? So
Yeah, ditto.
so they you have to use your room key card to access any floor in the tower other than the first level.
Okay.
So every time you get into the elevator, there's this awkward moment where you're trying to magic band or key card, or some people are using their phone and you're watching them like, listen, I know Disney's put the technology for tickets on their phone.
Yeah.
Everyone stop doing that. It never works when you're going through Disney. Give Disney another year to perfect it, because
Yeah.
I watch. Those are the
Or
people
two.
who are always like struggling to get in the gate or struggling to, and then you've got multiple passes on your phone. And I
Yeah.
get that it's convenient that it's on your phone, but that is watching the person try to use their phone to access the elevator one day. I just want to, you're trying to be polite, and I just wanted to be like, you're making it harder. Anyway,
Do magic bands work?
Magic bands
for
do
the
work.
elevators? Okay. Okay.
Magic bands do work, but it's very low. So if you're a taller person like me, I'm like leveraging my nieces, like, get over there and magic band the thing and hit every other time we're in an elevator, you want to hit the button, do it.
I know one of the reasons that they did the security like that for the tower was so people could not access those terrace areas unless
that's what I was
they were
talking about,
staying.
those courtyard
yeah,
things. Yeah,
unless they were staying on that property. Yeah.
I get that, but the cost of that
Yeah.
has come at a premium for the folks who are paying to be there.
Yeah. It messes with the convenience.
Yeah. The next one is like, I think Disney left their civil engineers at home.
Oh.
The walkability of the resort to the Poly is incredibly inefficient.
Huh.
And someone who's traveling with an ECV to the parks for the first time,
Yeah.
that ECV is it's a time, right? It turns into a time calculation of how long you need to leave,
Yeah.
so you can get to what you want to get to and get that cart to where it wants to go. And now there is no efficient way to get to the Great Ceremonial Hall, because I jogging between this spot, and it kind of, instead of there being a good direct line from one to the other,
Oh.
I have
Yeah.
to go out, but the main lobby is really the only way out the backside of the building. Traditionally, if we'll say a Hampton Inn, right? Because I think people understand or know that, right? Hampton, Fairfield, those
Yeah.
kind of entry brands for the big hotel chains. There's an exit usually in the center and on both ends.
Yeah.
The Island Tower just has exits off the elevator right from the center of the building. You have to kind of cut around the building, cut around the pool, then go right to cut around the pool, then it's left to cut around this building, then it's
goodness.
right to cut around this.
yeah.
It just feels like it's way. And so here's my next ding on the building is all of the transportation, other than using the minivan, is through the Great Ceremonial Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the main.
So that's where I get into a place where I paid monorail points for the room, but didn't get the monorail experiences. I had to walk quite a ways to
Yeah.
get that experience. There's a value proposition there that why would I spend more points than Bay Lake Tower for the same accommodations?
Yeah.
But then have all of that extra walking to do, unless I'm a real nut for clothes and rings,
Yeah. Now,
right?
yeah. Now, I would say that the Grand Floridian, the DVC built, like the original DVC
Yeah.
building, where you basically, if you want a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom or the 3-bedroom,
Yep.
you have the same problem. Like you have to walk to the other end of,
I
the
do, but at
resort.
least it feels like it's a direct line.
Okay.
At least it feels
okay.
like Disney's being efficient, and they
Yeah,
gave an
it's a
entirely
straight walkway to
covered
there.
pathway.
Yep.
So even if it's in the rain, I'm good.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm getting the full Polynesian experience, including getting rained on in South Florida when I'm going from one to the other. I thought about that, Nathan, and there were times actually where it was easier. So this is how bad it is. There were times where it was easier to walk to the Grand Floridian and take the monorail or transportation from there
Interesting.
than it was based on where we were going. It was more efficient to go the wrong way than the way they probably intend.
Do you think there will be enough complaints about this that Disney would do something about it?
There's no return on investment.
No. Okay.
Right? So I would see that maybe one day they put a bus stop in so you don't have to walk that far to get to a bus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what's the return on investment for the monorail?
Yeah. I mean, they're not, I mean, that's a lot of infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're not
Maybe
gonna-
putting in a dock on that side. Because
Yeah.
even then, if you're taking the friendship boats, whatever the boats are,
Whatever
in
those-
Seven
yeah.
Seas Lagoon,
Yes.
the smaller boats, not the
Yeah.
big one that comes
Yeah.
from the
Not the ferry,
transportation center.
the little
Correct.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe if they put in but then that's another stop for those boats, and it starts to make those boats less efficient for anybody at any of the resorts. They almost have to get to a place where we're going to have different boats for each resort, and they go back and forth. And I don't know that they like the look of that in front of the Magic Kingdom with 3 boats parked at once for 3 different resorts on the lake. They've got a problem to solve for sure. And I hope I'm the first one that feels, that's the other question you ask yourself, man, am I the first one that feels that way about this? But I gave my feedback. Disney sent me a survey, and I gave feedback based on, hey, this is, unfortunately I only got a survey for our visit to Epcot. So I talked very specifically about what it took to get to Epcot. When you're in the studios villas at the Polynesian Resort, because those tend to lean towards the transportation center. So you just work to the transportation center instead of the Great Ceremonial Hall. I've done that before, staying in those villas, and it's easy, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm walking all the way from the Island Tower to get to the transportation center, because that's the best way with an ECV, not to take the extra monorail.
Right.
Luckily, my nieces were absolute champs. So this is where my nieces are like gold medalists, because they never complained about the walking once at 8 and 10.
Yeah. Because even if you get to the monorail, you still have to go through the Grand Floridian and then Magic Kingdom and then Contemporary to get back around to the transportation and ticket center.
So now think about that as now I'm somebody with a dining plan and ADRs, and I'm trying to get to like Akershus for open. Yeah. So here's where the one place where I'll say is the minivan does go there.
Yeah.
But I've already spent all those points, so I don't feel good about going on the minivan. But it was the right choice.
They are a bit expensive.
Now, what I will say is, and what I could see was no discernible change in cost. They have added and I can't remember, it's somewhere between 6 and 12 minivans that are the larger Ford Transit vans that you can load an ECV on a ramp in the back of it.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
and it will take 5 other passengers along with the person sitting on the ECV as they get buckled down into a single position. So there are options if you're in an ECV to use a minivan and get there. And those are newly added, I think, in the last this last kind of contract that they have to buy their new minivans and update them. So it sounded like from the minivan driver that was fairly new.
Okay.
Sometime
in
2025. So I wanted to it's in my notes here to make sure I bring that one up.
Yeah.
I think it's good to get the word out there for folks that are looking for that. Wouldn't consider even opening the Lyft app. But when you look, there is one minivan. There's minivan and minivan. It says either with accessibility or ECV capable. I can't remember how it says it, but there's a clear delineation. Now, what I will tell you is during peak times, those are really hard to get a hold of.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because there's so few of them.
Yeah. Well, and one thing we learned about the minivans is they call them the polka dots of power, because they can go to basically anywhere in the bubble. I know Lyft and Uber, there's certain spots that they cannot drop you off at. They cannot drop you off in front of Grand Flow or anything like that. It has to be off to the side. Yeah.
Yep. Whereas the minivans will take you right up to,
Yes.
to that corner at Epcot. So you actually when you get out of the minivan, you have less walking than any of the buses.
Yep.
Yes.
And less walking than even the monorail customers, like when it takes you there.
Yeah.
So.
And ironically, at Epcot, it's even less walking than the accessible parking.
So I have one more thing to touch on before we kind of get into the rest of the trip about the Poly Tower. That's a note that I have here. The airflow in the room we were in was not great. So we were in a 2-bedroom lock off.
Okay.
And the living room area was about 3 or 4 degrees cooler than what we'll call the master bedroom.
Yeah.
So if I don't leave that door open, and either freezing who's staying in that middle space, right? That kind of that common area on the Murphy bed or the pull down under the TV, or I'm warmer in the room.
Yeah.
Well, other than that air issue, what did you think of the room?
The rooms are beautiful. Like I said, Imagineers did a great job.
Yeah.
All of the soft goods that were purchased and put into the room feel really good. It was the first time we'd been in a room where Hey Disney was working the right way.
Okay.
So my nieces got a kick out of asking it questions and having it tell them a joke or trivia. They loved the kind of the Hey Disney experience. The TVs, the kind of this new, that you can see that Disney's kind of advanced from the last version of whatever was operating on the TVs to see your portfolio for your room and welcome you to the room and, hop into some of the different options. Like you can watch, you can log into your My Disney Plus and it automatically, or your Disney Plus and it logs you out when you're check out of the room.
Oh, that's cool.
They had all those features working
Nice.
in the room. So, so that the technology piece felt on point. Plenty of plugs around the room to charge things. I'm also, when I take these trips, I'm also a bit of I mess with a variety of different cameras, mostly on the sports side to record, like I used, if you're familiar, in Insta360 to record us on Cali River Rapids.
Oh, cool.
Which was great because it will catch all of us.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into that because, after my experience last fall with losing my father, I'm thinking more about how do I preserve memories for my nieces of grandma and us. And I was trying to record for then my mother, the girls and their reactions as they came around the corner or were on a particular ride.
Yeah.
So I can give her, as she's traveling less and less mobile as the years go on, there's something for her to enjoy and harken back and enjoy some of the moments or even see some of the stuff she missed because she wasn't going on Cosmic Rewind.
I'm not going on Cosmic Rewind. It's fine.
Have you been on it before?
I've done it twice. I had to make liberal use of the bench off the exit. And I'm done.
I love
Listen,
it.
I love Imagineers. I love what they've done. What are those stairs right away after that ride?
Right?
Like, I want answers.
Yes.
I want answers. That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
No.
You got to get back over the track, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I get it, but there's got to be, like, even Pirates of the Caribbean's got a moving walkway. Maybe they thought if people were feeling sick and got a moving walkway right away, maybe they've got, I don't know, casualty rates or something like that that they model for.
Too many 2319s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to enjoy the Towers restaurant, the Wailulu Bar and Grill at all?
I did not.
Okay.
So when I look at that restaurant, the menu looks amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think you take kids to that restaurant, and I don't remember seeing kids at that restaurant.
I think it's
Interesting.
It's a quick service though, isn't it?
No.
It's
It's
not?
table
It's a-
service.
Okay.
Yeah, it's table service.
Or casual, whatever you want.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Casual.
casual table service, but it
Okay.
is table service. And like I said, when I looked at it, it just looked like a great place for Kelsey and I to go on a date one day.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing my nieces to that kind of experience. I want them to have character dining. I want them to have,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's another thing is the Island Tower is now the only, if they consider that a separate resort, which that's the weird part as a customer is I don't know whether Disney considers it something separate or something along with something else. Like it's half
our
and
points
half.
contract says it's part of the Polynesian because it's
Okay.
We just have poly points.
Yep.
So
Yep. Okay. So if it's part of the Polynesian, then it is what it is. But it's so far away and the way it books,
Yeah.
it feels separate. When you're there, it feels separate from the Polynesian.
It's not like Bay Lake Tower is the contemporary, because Bay Lake Tower, you feel very connected right there. to the
It is right there.
contemporary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas this is on its
Further.
own. Yeah.
Yep.
And more so disconnected than the DVC building is, ironically, right next door for the Grand, I almost said Grand California, for the Grand Floridian.
Yep. So the other thing that's weird is there are drink filling stations at the Island Tower,
Okay.
but they're outside by the pool.
Like soda
Yep.
or
So like if you have the resort mugs,
the resort cup. Yeah.
you can fill it up and it's outside. And I wonder how long they're going to remain outside. It's almost like they forgot there are hurricanes in Florida.
And thunderstorms.
Or I have to go outside in the rain to get a drink with my resort mug.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I will say that how you're describing the Wailulu room, or excuse me, the Wailulu Bar and Grill sounds to me very reminiscent of how I think about the Olelo room at Aulani, which is that same kind of elevated. You can eat there, but it's much more of an adult centric lounge. No, kids are more than welcome, but it's more of an adult escape.
There's a feel, right?
Yeah. I actually haven't watched, and I mean, I've looked at a couple of videos about the Island Tower, but I haven't seen how far it actually is from the main Polynesian building. I'm sure somebody has done a video of like a walk from here to there. I will have to look that up because I am very curious now how long it actually takes.
Like I said, part of me is feeling that way too because it's the first trip with an ECV.
Yeah. I will say none of what we've watched, Alicia, has talked about this as a specific thing, but I could definitely see how this would be a very specific concern. It is an opportunity for improvement of how do you tie this more tightly in with the rest of the main resort there.
Yep.
I watched a couple of videos. I forget her name. Mammoth Club. I watched their
Molly.
video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Molly's great.
Yes.
I watched their assessment of it, and it just felt more like I said, felt more like a date place than it felt like a place to bring kids.
It looks fancy. It's new and shiny for sure.
Yeah. I just, I leaned on, like I said, for me with the dining plan, I'm not going to spend a dining plan credit at a bar for the kids. I'm going to find, all of our dining was character dining except for the quick services we did. And, Via Napoli is a non-negotiable for me and my wife. If you travel with me and my wife, be prepared to meet Stromboli, Etna, and Vesuvius, the very great wood fire grills that are over at Via Napoli, because that takes us back to our time in Pompeii and the first time we had real pizza.
Yes. Via Napoli is in Epcot over in Italy, and Nathan and I finally went there. I think it was maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, our very first time.
It took
Best
us
pizza on property. Am I wrong?
It's amazing. Yes.
Best
it's
pizza
delicious.
on property.
Oh, 100%.
The tiramisu is amazing. The calamari is amazing if that's your thing. The wine list is great. They really do a great job there. Via Napoli is
Everything's fantastic. You've been alluding to it a little bit. The Island Tower replaced the Spirit of Aloha luau space there at the Polynesian Resort. Yeah. And that is a thing. That is a decision that was made. Was it worth it from your perspective?
I don't know what Disney's demand is. I don't know enough about the business end of it to know. I think I can figure out the cruise line end of the business a little more when I watch Disney's decisions. I'm, how it affects the P&L.
Yep.
What is a value for customers? What are they rating highly as an experience?
Yep.
Here's what I'm going to say is the Island Tower portion of the Polynesian is it's a beautiful building. The Imagineers did an amazing job.
Yeah.
And we had a good experience. We had a great experience.
Yeah.
Despite some of the comments I just gave. However, the value proposition as a person who is spending points, I would rather spend points at Bay Lake Tower, other accommodations on the monorail, accommodations that are outside the International Gateway at Epcot with less points than their new shiny resort.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are some great experiences if you want more than buses and boats.
Yeah.
Getting you to places where you can, be wowed and entertained at Disney. I think that it's a great stop for people who are completionists.
Yeah.
I've checked this one off the box, and I don't think it will call me back. Because I think I'd rather stay at the Beach Club, the Boardwalk, Bay Lake Tower. I've mentioned a couple of times is I think a better value, and the transportation at Bay Lake Tower you really can't compete with. It's on the monorail,
Right?
And you just walk.
It's quick to the
Magic Kingdom,
transportation
too. Yeah.
center. I can walk to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
The bus walking from Bay Lake Tower, the bus stop at the Contemporary is on the Bay Lake Tower side of the resort
Yep.
instead of the far side. Even if they just relocate, hey Disney, even if you just relocated the buses to the other side of the portico at the Polynesian and made it so I came up closer and didn't have to go in the Great Ceremonial House, that would be a huge impact to your customers that are there.
Yeah.
And for the customers that spread out towards the transportation center, most of them are just walking to the transportation center anyway.
Yeah.
You're not going to burn those customers like you're currently. There was a point at which I looked at my wife and I'm like, we're on the outer freaking rim here,
Yeah.
right? Like, unless I've got something that'll, do the Kessel Run and, so fast, we've got to start leaving a half hour earlier than we normally do on all of our trips to get to things like dining and rope drops.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the park map. It is a haul to get over to the bus area. That's insane. I will give you something else, Disney. If you put a bus stop for the villas at the Grand Floridian and the Island Tower somewhere in the middle,
Yeah, that would be even better.
like you've got some of the infrastructure there for the wedding pavilion and things like that, but figure something out there. Like that would be fantastic because that's way easier to get to.
Can I take that great idea a step further and make it an excellent idea? Put a walkway in for the folks from Shades of Green as well
Oh
yes.
and give them the option,
Yeah.
right? Like do a good job. I know there's little return on investment,
yeah,
but do something for the veterans that are trying to stay at your park
100%.
that
Definitely.
makes their lives a little easier because I've talked to some folks that have stayed at Shades of Green and they missed that walkway that connected them to the Polynesian and the Grand Floridian in the past
Yeah.
because they could walk to some other dining and character dining experiences
Right.
or other gift shops that were a part of the Disney. They kind of feel outside the Disney bubble where they are right now.
Yeah.
And this would bring them back into it.
Well, I unfortunately that corner of the property has so much major road construction going on right now. Like it just doesn't make they would struggle to find a safe way to allow pedestrian access through that whole situation.
Once
And
it's done.
Yeah,
once it's done, hopefully it comes back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Once it's done.
Yep. I have to ask, since we have you here, you went to Vero Beach. This is another place that's been on our DVC
Yes,
we
to-do
want to go
list.
to list. Like, what's your thought?
Are you ready to ask me about, are you sure you're ready for that?
Maybe this is another episode in the future.
We want to go and we haven't yet, and we've heard wonderful things. Yeah.
Vero Beach is the best spot in the resort collection right now.
Wow.
And in the 35 years I have left of points,
Yeah.
I think the number one place I will spend points over the next 35 years will be Vero Beach
Wow.
because it has a lot of the touches that Alani has
Yeah.
without 12 hours of flights. It becomes more accessible.
Yeah.
We stayed in a 2-bedroom villa there.
Okay.
I think Vero Beach has the best cast members in the company.
Wow.
At the Wind and Waves Grill, there's Muriel and Muriel. One is from New Jersey, one is from Florida. And they've both been there for over 20 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And they recognize people when they return because it's there's a quaintness to the resort because there's such a small inventory of rooms
Yeah.
that I also think the cast member to guest ratio is probably, it appears to me that it's the best in the company.
Right.
You start feeling like you're on a cruise ship where there's somebody where you turn. Whereas you can walk for a long time at Disney and not see a single cast member,
Yeah.
right? Like in the resort area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this resort, you can't do that. Can't do it. There are some great activities there, like an arts and crafts area for the kids. It's open for about 8 hours a day, where they have 4 different crafts to pick from every day. Now, some of them come with a cost because you're paying for some of the raw materials that you're using in those crafts. But they really do a great job, the cast members there. There's miniature golf that's included as a part of your DVC membership that you don't have to pay for. There's 9 very challenging holes there. My sister... My sweet, sweet sister. On the last hole, she fell apart. It was, it was. If Happy Gilmore 3 ever comes out, I know how they should let the villain go at the end. The pool is beautiful. The beach is fantastic.
Yeah.
Conservation work is being done by the Walt Disney Conservation Animal Conservation Fund, Wildlife Conservation Fund. Sorry, the naming is escaping me. I know they're on their 25th or their 30th year. They've got a big anniversary they're celebrating this year. But cast members from that program at either Epcot, the Seas, or Animal Kingdom take turns out there for a week at a time to take care of the sea turtles.
Oh, that's
Loggerheads are the most common, but they do see leatherbacks from time to time on different years, and green sea turtles as well on that beach. And they take care of the nests as they come in. So they're out there every morning at 7:00, and you can go out there and they're tracking the nesting going on and and documenting and then staking off to make sure people stay away from these places to protect the nests that are there. There's a huge effort there to inform the guest of turning down the lights at night. So when the eggs hatch, someone's not, the baby turtles aren't making their way towards land and they're going out to the water because they see the reflection. But the conservation folks there do different afternoon workshops where they're going through slides and talking about sea turtles and what you can do to help sea turtles and learn more about them. And they're even carrying around the skeleton of the sea turtle. I've got this great picture. My niece is way down. So 14 months ago we were there. So this is our second trip in 14 months to Vero Beach. And because we went there for spring break in 24. And we picked up these bracelets that they sell in the gift shop there, and you link them up with an app, and you've adopted a baby turtle or a turtle that's being tracked somewhere in the world.
Wow.
And my nieces, who I then brought back with those bracelets for this trip, had tracked their turtle on that beach through the app the night before we got there.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool.
They were so excited to see to see where their turtle had been. It was the first time seeing the ocean that was huge, just mind-blowing experience, right, for them. The lobby is beautiful and charming and has this very old school beach resort vibe to it. There's wildlife bunnies and lizards all across the campus there that makes up the where the villa buildings are.
Yeah.
There's great underground parking to keep your car out of the sun. They do at night. They do either the movie Under the Stars or they do a campfire sing along. Now their budget is a lot lower than say Fort Wilderness. So if you've done the Fort Wilderness experience, I would tell you dial it back and make it campy and charming. I'm just scrolling through the photos here. Did I mention the Wind and Waves? The Wind and Waves is it's definitely a top 5 dining location across the company. So I'm now lumping in what's available on the cruise line, Ama, which would also probably be in the top 5 for us at Alani, and some of the other places that you can go. They do a character breakfast on Saturday mornings with Goofy and Pluto.
Oh,
so it's a little more low key than the 4-character dining, but they stop, kids get up where they're at and surf along with Goofy, during the dining experience.
Now, you don't have points there, right? You don't have a contract.
I don't have points there.
Okay. How hard is it for you to get in?
I don't know. I haven't had a problem. Everyone talks about hard to get in. I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I'm up at the time 7 months out, and I know what my next 3 trips are.
we know more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know my next 3 trips that
Yeah.
my wife and I are going to take, whether it's Disney or not. I know our next 3 vacations and maybe even further than that.
Yeah.
So I have reminders in calendars that I'm
On
getting
when
up
they
that
book.
day.
Yeah.
I'm booking.
Okay.
I am organized in a way that I've never not gotten a stay that I was looking for as a DVC member.
Cool.
That's the getting up at 4 a.m, 3 a.m. for us to. We've done that before
It's
to
not
make sure
fun.
we get reservations.
No,
No,
but it's
not.
important.
It is important. It
Yes.
is absolutely important.
The other thing that's really great there at the Wind and Waves is, listen, all of these people who talk on social media about churro Mickey waffles are bragging about Walmart's great value brand.
Oh, wow. Shots fired.
Shots are fired. If you have not had a key lime Mickey waffle, you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to Mickey waffles.
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
booking a flight right
I
So
did
now.
not
what they
know that was
do
a thing. Ooh,
is
that
they
sounds
make
really
the
good.
Mickey waffle or mini waffle. Sometimes
Right.
they're mini waffles, and they slice it long, like across the middle section of it, and fold it open, and fill it with lime curd, and then put some freeze dried raspberries and a little bit of raspberry syrup on top. That doesn't stop me from adding a little bit of maple.
Sure.
I'm an add maple. My wife is more whipped cream
Okay.
to it. But we do what we call the Chris and Kelsey combo. I order an omelet that's kind of loaded up. I eat half the omelet while she's eating half the waffles, and then we swap plates so we get a little sweet and savory. Don't
There
go
you
too
go.
much on the Mickey key lime waffles. But I'm telling you, Nathan, I'm sending you a picture of these waffles.
Okay.
I'm telling you, put them on your list. They are that it is like they also do a key lime Dole Whip there with graham cracker crumb on the top.
Alicia, this is
You know what?
the one
We were
time
gonna
I will
go-
eat Dole Whip. I will go there for this.
We wanted to go anyway. This has just like further solidified. Oh, this sounds amazing.
Also on the menu every night there are breakfast has 3 specials on most days.
Okay.
I'm not going to say every single day because there'll be a day it doesn't happen for
Of
somebody.
course.
And
They'll come
then
for you.
dinner has 4. Dinner always has a pizza, something from the butcher's block. So usually a steak, but it can be a pork chop or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Then they have a a fish option. So a catch of the day option. And then the last one's typically a vegetarian friendly one.
Okay.
Got it.
So they do those 4 specials every night for dinner.
Do you find the resort to be kind of contained? Like you go and you just stay on property, or how much?
So I've done it both ways. This last time we stayed on property the whole time, except for when we did my dad's celebration of life, and we did a lunch off site right afterwards at a place my mom and dad used to go
Yeah.
40 years ago on dates in the area that we went to. But yeah, my wife and I have done trips there where we just stay on property the whole time. There's a great little coffee shop up on the 2nd floor of the inn that then has a balcony that goes out onto the to overlook the ocean over the top of the they do sea grape bushes as a wall
Yeah.
to kind of wall off the beach from the resort.
Yeah.
And then they have tunnels cut through those to get to the beach, which is great.
Yeah.
They set up cabanas and umbrellas and chairs for a fee for you.
Yeah.
So a big tip is when you get there, the first thing you actually want to do is walk out to the beach house that's on the beach and rent your spots for the week if there are some available. We had one day where we couldn't book, and then the last few days we could have we had 2 umbrellas and 4 chairs out there.
Oh, that's amazing.
But then we've had other trips where we take the 2-hour drive down and hop on an airboat on the Everglades, or you could take an hour trip north and go to NASA because you're on the coast.
Yeah.
Like you could make it just like Alani, right? You could spend your entire time at Alani, or you could do half and half and sightsee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would tell you not to do more than that, Alani, because the lazy river is going to call you
Oh yeah.
for a lot more
100%.
than that. So here's where I'll temper expectations for Vero, but don't be discouraged. The first one is they don't have a lazy river, because lazy rivers weren't a thing in the 90s
Yep.
when the resort was put in, and if they were very rare, right? It wasn't like it is now.
Right.
The next thing is the only way you see characters is on Saturday morning at that breakfast.
At that breakfast.
Okay.
Okay.
So other than that, but there's like a scavenger hunt every day for where Tinkerbell is hidden throughout the resort in the public space that my nieces had to do every day. Right? They went looking for Tinkerbell every day. The rooms are great. The cast members are amazing. There's a bar by the pool. They do bar service down to the beach.
Excellent.
They have all of the buckets, pails, shovels, and whatever you would want to play on the beach for free from that beach house. You know, as a DVC member, you get for free,
Right.
To enjoy.
Well, we face it, CT,
Prepaid.
we've prepaid for all those things.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
free.
all been paid for. Yeah, it's not free now. We've already made the investment.
Yeah, exactly.
On the back side of the table service restaurant is called the Market.
Okay.
And think of that like the quick serve version of the restaurant.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
They've got cold cut sandwiches that can be warmed up, burgers, chicken fingers because it's Disney, right? We need chicken fingers.
Yep.
They actually have a really good like hot Nashville chicken sandwich that they do there that's pretty good.
Oh.
If you're into that sort of thing,
Yeah.
like a spicy chicken sandwich that I enjoy there. A variety of, you know, kind of like if you go to like whatever the Contempo Cafe or Captain Cook's, there's a cooler with different cupcakes and muffins and whoopie pies that are shaped like Mickey. Like I said, the Dole Whips that they have there. So they'll do the pineapple swirl or a key lime.
Well, this sounds great.
Yeah.
It really is I mean, we really love Vero Beach. The town of Vero is super fun.
Cool.
You're kind of not in a heavily touristy area.
Yeah.
You're right between like Fort Lauderdale and Port Canaveral.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do, you know, we did a land and beach, but if you wanted to do a beach and sea,
It's not too far
you
to
could
go.
easily do that from one of the two ports if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're just going to Vero, I would tell you Orlando is still your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only about an hour and a half drive to get there.
Does the Bright Line stop in Vero or does it go past?
The
I wonder?
Bright Line, I don't know where it stops out that way.
Okay.
I know
I
we saw
don't-
it go by several times. I don't think there's a Vero stop.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's. I think it kind of like once you get a little bit north of what is it? I think they have a West Palm Beach stop, and then I think it goes direct to Orlando. I don't
No,
think
there's a Cocoa Beach stop that's going
Yeah.
in.
well,
There's a
it's not
Cocoa
there yet,
Beach
but yes.
that is
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
That's going to service Port Canaveral area. I think Alicia, once that one went in, that's probably your best bet if you were looking for. I'm going to take the train out to the coast and then catch some type of transportation to the resort. There is no transfer from Disney to Vero or vice versa that
Right.
Disney has arranged, but I'm sure there are plenty of companies out there that arrange that sort of thing. I when I did the survey for Vero today, that was a question like, how did I get there? Did I take some type of transfer? Did I take, a limo or a town car? Did I have my own rental or my own car from home?
All right. Disney wise, what's next?
The Adventure.
Okay. So
The
next
Adventure by
year.
Disney next summer will be our next one.
All right.
I had 2 weeks back and I'm headed to a lake in northern Minnesota for a week and then taking 3 days to catch up with some folks I served with in the Air Force. With my wife being a teacher, it's either Christmas, families where our holiday is going to be spent for the next few years.
Yeah.
So we're not planning any trips then. So our trips are either spring break. I think we're probably looking at Alani in 27.
Okay.
Nice.
So Switzerland with the Adventures by Disney is your next one.
Yep, in summer of 26.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Which
that
is
still
not
sounds
a
amazing.
bad way.
No.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll survive somehow.
You'll survive. Yeah.
Well, speaking of survival, it's now time for Alicia's patented Disney torture test. So I wish you the best of luck.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm just going to ask your Disney favorites from everything under Mickey's umbrella. So Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, all that good stuff. Who is your favorite character?
Okay, so the real torture here is the fact that I have to pick just one.
Yes.
Oof. I can't pick one.
You got to just, it can
It
change.
changes.
But right now, who is it?
I'm just going to go the deepest cut I can think of right now that I really like. Is that all right?
Yeah,
course.
Gizmo Duck. If you don't know what it is, Google
Duck.
it.
Yes.
We'll go deep
Approved.
cut with Gizmo Duck.
So the new Gizmo Duck or the older Gizmo Duck?
Did they have a new Gizmo Duck?
They do. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I don't have kids in the house, so I'm not watching like new
the new DuckTales.
I'm watching
The
all
newer
old stuff.
DuckTales.
So I'm gonna say the OG.
Okay, OG Gizmo. All right. Favorite Disney movie?
I am gonna go live action,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go with Miracle.
Oh,
I think that's a fantastic movie.
yeah. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's a good one. It gets regular play in my house.
Nice.
Favorite Disney ride?
I'm gonna give you two answers on this one. I don't
Okay.
care about the rules. I really like Cosmic Rewind this last trip, but 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea is one of those that takes me back to those moments where I'm holding a thumb in my whole hand, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Disney World or Disneyland?
Oh, World.
All right.
There's a charm around Disneyland, don't get me wrong. World of Color is fantastic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can spend a whole week at Disney World
Yeah.
and still not see everything. And the diversity of whether I want to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge or stay
Yeah.
at the Contemporary and make every trip different, I've got to say Disney World.
All right. Out of every individual park that you have been to, which one is your favorite?
Magic Kingdom. It's the
Okay.
nostalgia.
Yeah.
Epcot's a close second, though. The food is amazing.
Yes.
Favorite hotel or resort?
Clearly, it's not going to be the Island Tower.
No, it is not the other tower. I'm sorry. We're going to go Vero Beach.
All right.
Oh, wow. Nice.
We're going to go Vero Beach.
Favorite DCL ship?
Ooh, man. I'm going to go with the Oneater. I'm going to go with the Wonder. That's our original. We did it for our first two cruises. We haven't been on it since.
Yeah.
I love the classic ships.
Yes.
I love what my wife loved the Toy Story musical. It's gone now.
Yeah.
But we have not seen the Frozen one in the fleet. So I'm going to say, and that probably is then leading into, I think my next actual DCL cruise is going to be an Alaskan one.
Nice.
That's where I'm starting to vector towards as I'm planning the future
Yeah.
for us in travel.
We've spent a lot of time on the Wonder.
Yes.
It is a close fight, and it changes by the minute on whether it's the Wonder or the Treasure for us in terms of top spot right now. It's just so stinking fantastic. But we've probably spent 7 or 8 weeks of our lives on the Wonder. We've done the Panama Canal crossing twice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's special. It's special.
Yeah. I will say that both the Treasure and the Destiny are calling me. I've looked a lot at like, hey, let's do a Destiny out of Fort Lauderdale and then
Yeah.
hop up to Vero
Yeah.
for the vacation from the vacation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Destiny, some of the theming on the ship, this whole hero.
Yep.
I still think they should have dropped the Bippity Boppity Boutique for an Edna mode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Superhero you up. I don't know if you listened to that show that I did with Sam and Brian, but
Yeah.
Yep.
we had a lot of fun predicting the Destiny. The Destiny and the Treasure are both calling for sure as well.
Yeah.
So it'll land somewhere in there. But if I'm going to answer the question right now, how I feel
Wonder,
today,
yeah.
I think it's the Wonder because it's our first ship, and
Yep.
we did a Western Caribbean on it, and then an Alaskan the next year, and we loved both of those trips. So.
Fantastic.
Favorite Disney restaurant?
You've mentioned you have a top 5, but if you have
There's a top 5. There are don'ts for sure. I think I'm gonna go right now with my favorite is Seats and Suites.
Oh,
Have you done that before?
No, what is that?
no.
That's the firework party
Oh,
at
okay.
Tomorrowland Terrace,
Okay.
where you sit there and have your dessert buffet behind you while you watch the fireworks. That was my niece's favorite experience while we were there.
Yeah.
It was how we spent our last night in the park.
Oh,
And
nice.
the memories you can make there sitting there and, just watching the girl. For me, it was watching my nieces and my wife and my mom watch the fireworks as I sat back and they were taking in the fireworks. I was taking in the family moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've done that for a not so scary
Yeah.
party one time.
Yep. But it was raining, and so
it was raining, yeah.
our experience was a little tainted.
Yes. Last one. Favorite Disney snack?
Ooh, man. I'm going to go with the Trolley Car Cafe has that carrot cake.
The carrot cake cookie. Yeah.
Cookie.
Or
whoopie
I don't even know
pie.
what that is. Yeah.
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 It's carrot cake magic is what it is. It's carrot cake magic.
Well, CT, you survived. Congratulations.
I'm still upset about the character. So many characters in my head.
So you are a contributor or kind of a community member to with the DCL Duo and their podcast. And you do a lot of writing for their Substack. Obviously, this is where we've crossed paths before. How did you get involved with Sam and Brian?
Sam and Brian were, first of all, listen, if someone is doing something like this and putting effort in, send them a message at least to thank them for what they're doing. And if you could take it a step further and become a Patreon or find some way to, for me, my travel agent is the DCL Duo because that was the first one.
Yeah.
That's the first podcast I listened to after Scott stopped doing his from the DCL, the unofficial DCL blog.
Yeah.
I think both the female and male perspective on a show gives it more depth and more volume to what it can give its customers or its listeners. But yeah, like support these great folks that are, guys like, whether it's you, Nathan and Alicia, or it's like Brian and Sam. And it just was, supporting them as a Patreon and being active. And then I was on with Sam to talk about some predictions when I reached out to Brian and Sam talking about it. And I talked about, and I mentioned a couple times before, just brought up the whole idea of wearing a tinfoil hat or tinfoil mouse ear hat with Wes a couple of times, talking to him and talking to Brian and Sam. And it just I just decided to run with it and have something that was a good break from what I do day to day. Unfortunately, what I do day to day has gotten in the way of the last 6 months, but starting next week, you'll see me in the Substack again over there with Brian and Sam.
Nice.
Love it.
Talking about some of the things that are coming up next. There's a lot of exciting things happening with the cruise line because it's such a successful channel for travel right now. And predicting the cruise line and the tempo at which information comes out is very different than the parks. Like we know Villains is coming in like 28 and 29, maybe even 30.
Yeah.
Right. We know when Monsters Eat, whereas with the cruise line, they haven't announced the name of the ship that comes out in 27.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that ship's actually going to come out early in 27. And I think it's going to shake up the itineraries for a lot of the ships that are in the fleet. And we're going to talk about that in the Substack here real soon. So there's a little tease. I'm also working on another article. I don't know where it fits, but Brian and Sam are really great about me. I'm writing an article called the 7 Disney Sins.
I love
And
it.
it's more park driven, but there'll be a cruise variant of the same article that will come out as well. But to give a little bit of some insight, one of the 7 Disney sins is being rude to a cast member.
Yes.
100%.
Now, that being said, that doesn't mean you can't give feedback.
Sure.
Right? That doesn't mean, but it should be private. It should be quiet and private.
Right.
Anyway, so we're going to be talking about the 7 Disney sins a little bit here. What are the things you should do
I love it.
when you go to the parks, or what shouldn't you do? So,
Well, where can folks find that and follow you online?
So you'll see my blog post on the DCL Duo Substack. Like I said, I'm incredibly grateful to Sam and Brian, and actually was hoping we were going to travel on the Adventure by Disney together this year, but this upcoming year, but it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
But you can also find me on X under Tinfoil M Ears. I'm on Threads, tin _ foil _ mouse _ ears. Same thing on Instagram. You can do a search for tinfoil mouse ears on Facebook. Those are kind of the places I am.
Yep.
If you go to the link tree or go looking in places, I started my own website that got incredibly complicated and time consuming. So I'm super grateful for the Substack spot to sit right now while I'm just doing that, and I'll maybe venture out and learn more later. But right now, I appreciate the fellowship and friendship I have with the duo, and putting some of my content there. And then I love hopping on. Someone asked me if I was going to do my own podcast once. I don't. There's so many podcasts out there that I love. I could never dream about doing a podcast. I just spending time with great folks like you guys, and some of the other folks that are out there is more than enough for me on the podcast front. So
Well, you don't have a podcast. You have lots of podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah, that works. That works. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of great, and it's a great opportunity to connect with other people who love Disney the same way that that I do, for sure.
Well,
So
and we'll have you back on ours sometime soon too.
yeah, it sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, CT, and lots to think about, and definitely a trip to Vero Beach to book.
Yes. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys.
Remember, we are not affiliated with Disney or their subsidiaries. These are our personal opinions and suggestions based on our own experiences. We recommend working with a travel agent or contacting Disney directly to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have questions or suggestions, or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experience, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can follow us on socials. We are at Our Mousecapades. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube.
And please do give us a rating and a review in your podcast app or over there on YouTube. It really, really helps people find us.
It only takes a moment, and it really does help us out.
Indeed. CT was just talking about pixie dust.
Yes.
Show us some pixie dust. I am
No. You cannot ask for pixie dust, Nathan.
Dang it, I got it wrong. I just did a Disney sin. Oops.
You did. All right. But do please.
Wait.
Please.
Oh.
I'm not asking for pixie dust. I'm asking for a review. That is different.
Okay. Pot versus kettle. Got it.
No. Of course, don't hesitate to share us with your friends and fellow Disney lovers of all ages.
Thanks for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.